superstar. He is an absolute superstar, Tom Mitchell.
Cripps at the back. Cripps is too good.
Neil, yes! Oh, how good was that?
Welcome back, everyone, to the Ball Magnets podcast. It's just myself here today. We love to give you guys the opportunity to send your questions in and we can answer them to the best of our ability. We want to try and do these sessions every now and then just to break things up, but also to make that stronger connection with our audience. So we really appreciate, as always, the support we're getting with Ball Magnets. Some really exciting things coming, especially in the NBA off-season when Josh Giddey gets back home to Melbourne. He's going to be back home for a good period of time, so we've got some really cool events coming up. You know, there'll be some corporate speaking events, some clinics which everyone will be able to attend if you're a part of Ball Magnets, and some other things which we'll make some more awareness about in the coming weeks. But Josh is obviously killing it over in the NBA at the moment. I saw a game the other day. He had 17 assists in a triple-double, so he's really started to hit his straps. I think he's averaging around 16 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, something in that realm. So for a second-year player to be doing what he's doing, he's made inroads again from last year. So speaking to him last night, he's really excited about the remainder of the season and potentially filling that void in the play-in tournament. You know, hopefully OKC can get through and sneak a playoff series in. That'd be pretty awesome. Josh is actually a Hawthorn fan, but his family is Collingwood, so I'm sorting them out some tickets for this week's game, and he's super excited to get back home and loves his AFL, so he's going to be at plenty of games. We'll be doing some pretty cool content with him and some of the footy clubs as well, so keep an eye out for the Ball Magnets app, guys, and I think you're going to enjoy this year and what's to come. So on top of that, Cripper and Lockie, they've had really strong pre-seasons. They're ready to go. Looking forward to seeing Cripper first up on Thursday night against Richmond. That's always a huge blockbuster game, and I think with how the teams have positioned themselves, with how they performed last year, they're going to be two of the contenders. So I think, you know, it's going to be a hot game of footy. Hopefully the crowd shows up, and hopefully the crowd shows up on Friday night as well for the Collingwood-Geelong game. I'm super excited for that. Not sure what the crowd is expected to be. I'm hoping, I think 85K would be a number that would be quite incredible. So I'm sure all the Collingwood fans will be out there in Geelong, obviously after their historic grand final win last year. I'm sure the fans will come out as well. So everyone's super pumped for footy to be back. And yeah, I can't believe it's finally here. So before I go any further, we may as well take some questions here. So I'm just going to refer to my notes and read them one by one. So if you guys ever want to ask a question, you can just inbox the Ball Magnets account on Instagram. Any other way you can get in touch, do that. But that's probably the best way. We always try and read those messages and get them back to you. So and with our response. So we've had a few questions, and the consistent ones, we'll try and answer them today. And yeah, another thing we want to try and do is we've got some Iron Edge prizes coming up shortly as well. So Iron Edge prizes valued at $200 a pack. So we've got about 5 of them to give away. And thanks as always to AIA Vitality for their support of the app as well. So first question from our fans. I won't mention the names, but I'll just go through the questions. How excited am I for round 1 in the season ahead? We briefly just touched on that, but how good is it that footy's back? I've been watching a bit of the cricket over in India, and I do love cricket, but I love footy more. So I can't wait. I think, hopefully the crowd show up, especially post-COVID. I think everyone's sort of living a normal lifestyle now. I know there were some ticketing issues in previous years where fans, found certain aspects of that a bit of a hassle, and that probably scared people away from the footy. But I'm hoping that crowds are well and truly back, and I think, watching on TV last year some of the atmosphere at the Collingwood games, I'm hoping that they can be replicated because they look like some pretty epic games to be a part of. I also went to the grand final last year, Geelong v Sydney. That was an unbelievable atmosphere. So looking forward to the big crowds. That'd probably be the thing I'm most excited for. Next question. Who's my favourite teammate and mates I've built relationships with? Yeah, I would say I've built some strong relationships since being at the club for maybe 4 or 5 months. I feel pretty stretched across the group. Like I feel like I've got great relationships with the younger guys and the older guys. On field, I connected really well with Geordie, and we've got a great relationship off field as well. I've done a fair bit of training with the Dacos boys in our downtime, so love hanging out with all those guys. Darcy Cameron, he's probably the funniest teammate. He's always got everyone in stitches with a few little things he does around the club. So maybe we'll get him on the podcast and he can explain that a little bit further when we get him on. Top 3 stadiums to play at in order, what would they be? You can't go past the G, obviously. I'm going to say Optus Stadium in Perth. That's probably my second favourite. I think the atmosphere that's created in there is pretty electric because generally when you're playing over in Perth, you're playing against 50,000 fans that are all purely going for the opposition. So, when you can silence a crowd like that, it's almost as cool of a feeling as, a roaring crowd because, you're on top. So I'd say Optus. And then thirdly, it's a tough one. I'm going to say the SCG. Played a lot of footy up there and, the size dimension is a little bit different, but loved playing at the SCG. You could always get close to the ball. It was a small ground, so you could always, especially as a midfielder, get close to the ball and impact the game. Immediate leadership qualities at Collingwood. Yeah, so I guess, as a senior player coming from other clubs, you want to bring your experience and your ideas. And I guess, being new, you don't want to come in and trample on people's toes. And, obviously there's some outstanding leaders at the club. We'll touch on Darcy Moore a little after this. But, guys like Pendles and Steele and Howie and these guys that have been great players and great leaders for a long period of time. A lot of it for me has been about learning as well. Learning how great these guys have been in, their careers with their leadership. And, I've been a bit of a sponge, to be honest, but it has been nice to be recognised in a leadership capacity as well. We have a leadership group and an extended leadership group. So to be a part of that is a special feeling to be acknowledged in that way, arriving in a new club. So I guess like every player on the list, we all consider ourselves leaders. We all want to contribute in that space to create a strong team environment where everyone can thrive and improve, and we're all building each other up and complementing each other. So I've really enjoyed working in that leadership space since being at the Pies. Players to watch in 2023. Okay, I'll stay on the Collingwood theme. I think Reef McGuinness could be in for a really big year. He's probably a name that isn't as known as some of the other young players at the club, such as Nick Dacos and Jack Ginnivan and these guys. But I think Reef McGuinness could play a lot of senior footy this year. The way he's training, he's got so much athleticism as sort of like a third tall forward. He can take a strong mark overhead. He's skillful. So I think Reef's in for a big year. Really excited for him and to see what he can do. The midfield mix at Collingwood, that's been really good. Coming to a midfield where so many guys can go through. Obviously, unfortunate to lose Paddy Lipinski to a shoulder injury. He was, playing some really good midfield minutes for us. But, we try and spread the load through there. So you've got Pendles, you've got Josh Dacos, Steele, Geordie DeGoey, Jack Crisp, myself, Taylor Adams. So we feel as though, we've got quite a bit of depth in that area of the ground, and we're trying to spread that load evenly so that, everyone, can be exposed in the midfield, have an impact on the game, and then also we can keep spinning the wheels to stay fresh throughout a game. So I've really enjoyed working with all the midfielders, Darcy Cameron and Coxie in the ruck, obviously, as well. So, we're hoping that we can build some strong cohesion early in the year. Who's my Brownlow tip for 2023? I'm going to go with Marcus Bontempelli. I think that the Bont, from what I'm hearing, is moving as good as he ever has. And I think he will win it this year. I think the Bulldogs will be quite a strong team. I think they'll win a lot of games. And I think with such a tall forward line, Sam Darcy, Jamara, Aaron Norton and Rory Lobb, I think that's going to enable Bont to play more midfield time, and I think he's going to really strongly impact games. And obviously they've lost a couple of midfielders in Josh Dunkley and Lockie Hunter as well. So I think the Bont, a fit and firing Bont, he's personally been, when I've had a few, you have moments in games that are one-on-one matchups, and he's been really tough because he's so big and strong, and aerially is very strong in the air. But also at ground level, he's nippy, agile. He's just hard to combat because he's got so many strings to his bow. So, okay, guys, that's all the questions that we've been able to get through today. So just a reminder, if you'd like to send a question in, obviously we try and do some Instagram lives every now and then to interact with you guys. But if you'd like to send some questions in, head to the Ball Magnets Instagram page at Ball Magnets. Send your questions in, and we'll always try and get back to you, whether it's directly, and if the questions are quite topical and we think that they could be heard through a podcast setting like this, we'll do the same for that. So Just so you guys are aware as well, we will be releasing some programs soon. So I'm not sure how much information I can give away about this, but there'll be some programs released via Ball Magnets, which will give you the edge. So, for example, we shot with Cripper last week. We did recovery with Paddy Cripps, how he recovers from a game from Monday to Friday. So it's recovery/game preparation, which I think that's the insight that's going to give you the information to set you apart or your team apart for those that play or coach or are a part of a team. Cripper's stoppage craft, that's going to be another program. So not sure on the exact detail yet how it's going to look, but potentially a 2-week course on stoppages. So I'm not sure if there's a better player in the league you can get the stoppage craft program from other than Cripper. Some touch programs. So this is obviously to work on, this is the finer detail, the fundamental sort of things in terms of your touch that you can implement into your stoppage craft. So it's all very applicable. Obviously, we're heading up with Collingwood to play Brisbane early in the season, so I'll connect with Lockie Neal there. He's already got his ideas in place for his program, so they'll be released very soon as well. Obviously, he's a handball specialist. He'll be talking about bursting out of stoppages, how he's implemented that into his game. Reading the game, obviously he's a great ball winner, has great game awareness, beating a tag. So there's all these little intricacies which Lockie will coordinate into his program, and I'll be doing the same. My programs are being shot at the moment. So you guys are going to have a selection of around 9 to 10 programs which you can be a part of. Some will be 2-week courses. Some will be running programs for those that want to be working on their fitness outside of training and outside of games. So, and others will be skills for those that want to be working on their skills. So this is in addition to the free content that we provide on the Ball Magnets app. So this is, I guess, the push element that you can push yourself and really become the best version of you on the field. So that's something we're really looking forward to. We're looking forward to Josh Giddey getting back. And yeah, how good. Round 1's just around the corner. Cripper, Lockie and I are bloody pumped, and we're also pumped to keep giving you guys weekly Ball Magnets content and insight that you can see nowhere else. So thanks again for listening. We've got a few more good guests coming up on the podcast in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that and enjoy.